y'all for taking time to come and meet with me today. We're going to be taking a look at possibly some sort of joint project that we can do. History classes and English classes can work on together with your students. And we also want to look at ways that we can involve the community and local businesses to help us out as well. We're going to look at a real problem that our students face, and we all know this because we've been here. Ms. Thomas is new to us, but we've been here, most of us, for a while, so we're aware that all of our students, and I know that she is by now too, come from homes that are well below the poverty line. Not all of them, but an unusually high percentage of. About 85% of our students live in homes that are below the poverty line. How does that affect education?
It would affect their grades for sure, how they're coming to school.
Okay.
It has to do with how families value education as well. If you're struggling to meet the other needs, education doesn't seem to be as important in the home.
Right.
Absolutely. And you know, we're told, and I can remember, and I do still do it today, but I can remember especially when I was in the regular classroom in Talladega High School, students would talk about how they couldn't wait to get out of Talladega. And I would tell them, well, if you want to get out, get an education, because those people who get educations are the ones who generally do. Statistics show, though, that our students, not just our students, but students in general across the country, it's not happening. It does for those students who come from a background where they have support at home. But when there's little or no support at home, maybe because the parents don't value education, as Ms. Uptain said, or maybe it's because the parents are having to work at night when their children are at home, and the children are basically having to take care of themselves. But whatever the reason for it, that thing we've always been told, and we've always told our students about the value of education, and while it's true, it's just not actually translating to them. And I think we probably all have seen that to some degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
Students who live in poverty, they're more likely to experience violence. Hopefully not at school. Our students don't here, but they might at home. They might in their neighborhoods or their communities. And while we do have a large percentage of our students who live on campus, we all know that we have students who live locally who are not in the dormitories, and they might face those things in the community. Abuse, again, from home, neglect, inadequate clothing, and we see that here at school. And of course, hunger. If there's no food, no money, no food, or parents aren't home, children are left to fend for themselves for dinner. Again, fortunately they get a breakfast and a lunch here at school every day.
May I have your attention, please?
Even
Staff
when they're not
members
on
who have not
campus.
had their picture taken, and any student other than a senior who's not had their picture taken, please come to the auditorium now.
Even when they're on campus, they get a breakfast and a lunch. But of course, at home, they won't necessarily. That's one of the reasons so many of our students stay after school in the evenings and stick around on campus until they can eat dinner here at school at 5:30 before they go home. Along with that, because our student population is so unique, we have to look at this. The unemployment rate, according to the National Federation for the Blind, for visually impaired and blind adults is 62.3%. And this is where we are. This is what we need to look at. What can we do with our students that's going to create that importance of education in their lives? What kind of project can we give them so that they can research and look into jobs that they can do, education that they can look into, and then how are we going to pull the community into this? Because the community can go a long way in helping prepare our students for real life experiences and job experiences. Do you have any ideas?
I think first we can begin by trying to see what field would our students go into. Would they go to college, or would they go straight into the workforce out of high school, or wherever they're coming from? I think we
Okay.
determine that first.
All right. How can we turn that
Can I
into
have
a
your
project?
attention, please? Ms. Wood, please buzz the office.
How can we turn that into a project that would work?
Okay, we might be able to partner with the community somehow and see if anybody's willing to employ any of our kids while they're still in high school to give them experience that would allow them to go into the job field.
Okay. You better go and get that. Anyone else?
I think one of the things, and I don't know exactly how we would turn it into a project though, is, at the conference I recently attended, we had, people who not only grew up in poverty, but were also visually impaired, who are employed now, tell their stories, and I think the more our kids can see that people can overcome those obstacles and get jobs and hold jobs, I think sometimes they just don't see that it's possible.
Absolutely. And do you think that and I know you do, because I know you know those people. Could we get some of those people to come into our school and talk to our students?
I do think so, and I think that could be a great project for us. I think if we had some of them come and not only tell their stories, but let students ask them questions, and because I think all those people would be very honest about how they grew up and
Yes, ma'am.
sort of the things that they faced in growing up.
Okay.
In building on that, what if we could match with a student and let them shadow that person for a day at their job?
Absolutely,
Or
that'd be great.
even if it was just for a couple of hours, to even let our students experience that, not just hear about it,
Good
to
idea.
see for themselves that they can do it. I mean, we could listen to them and maybe they'd say, oh, well, I might do that, but to let them actually experience it.
Okay. Anyone else?
That's actually something that I've been thinking about. I know the, ADRS, the social worker at the Career Center, Brittany
Yes, ma'am.
Urquhart. She has a master's degree from Auburn University, and Brittany is legally blind. And we've had this conversation before, and she was like, she said I would come and talk to them so that they can see life is possible, not just beyond high school, but beyond being visually impaired as well.
Okay.
And she may be agreeable to letting a student shadow her depending upon, what you have to get worked out on our end.
Good. Do you think that we could have our students during your classes spend some time researching the types of
Research projects
jobs,
as well.
research paper?
Yep.
Maybe they could develop a PowerPoint presentation or some other type of presentation to go along with that as well.
Yeah, I think by the time students get in high school, it's time to really get serious about what kind of job can a visually impaired person, not just what kind of job do you dream of doing, because, by that time, you need to start not just talking about your dreams, but what your capabilities are.
Right.
And I think we do that some in our career classes, but we certainly could incorporate that into our other, main, curriculum classes. I think we could certainly do that.
Well, and not just talking about the reality of what they can do, but within that PowerPoint, it could be, here is my goal for a career, here is what I have to achieve to get this goal, and here's what I have to do after if I've graduated from college.